Let's take a quick quiz. Which of these sounds like something you've said or done before? How did I get a late notice on this bill? Again. Taxes. I don't need to pay no stinking taxes. I really don't make that much money, right? Hey, what's this charge on my credit card? Oh, that's right. That's when I bought 3 microphones for my podcast and forgot to return the ones I didn't like. If you're nodding along or nervously laughing, you are exactly where you need to be. Hi, I'm Christine Dunning, a Master Certified Life Coach, owner of 2 Cats Coaching, and unfortunately the proud holder of a credit card with way too many stories behind it. This month, we're going to dive into a topic that affects all of us. Money. I'm calling it ADHD and Money for Solos. Dollars, dopamine, and your financial journey. One quick caveat. I am a life coach, not a financial professional. I'm just someone who's spent a lifetime navigating money with inattentive and, until recently, undiagnosed ADHD, and figuring out what works and very much what doesn't. My story may not match yours, so think of this as a collection of ADHD-friendly money strategies and relatable cautionary tales, but not actual financial advice. I've decided to spend the month of September talking about money and finances. It's such an important topic, and it's one that seems to hit people with ADHD particularly hard. Something I know from the research I've done. Certainly chatting with friends, it's the number one thing they all bring up. And of course, my own personal story. First of all, this is not just about having ADHD or about being single. Nearly 50% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And 25% of those earn over $150,000 a year. Fewer than 1 in 4 people even have $1,000 saved for emergencies. Money management goes across the board. It's not a poverty issue, although it affects people with less money stronger. And if you're single and have ADHD, you're playing with extra challenges like impulse spending, forgetfulness, less disposable income, and the usual executive function hurdles. So let's run through a few of those classic ADHD money management pitfalls. The first is that impulse control. You know, that $100 camera that you need for your upcoming vacation suddenly becomes a $700 way better camera, but you don't really have enough money for that. Hyper-focus spending. You get really excited, let's say, about cameras again. You want to go into photography. You buy all the supplies, and 3 months later, you realized you haven't touched the camera in a month. Another big issue is things that are out of sight, out of mind. Bills, subscriptions, like I mentioned before, and duplicates of things that you already own, like that pair of red shoes that you bought at the mall because you forgot that you already have 2 pair of red shoes almost exactly the same already in your closet. And the ever popular executive dysfunction. Even finding the bills when they're due can be a challenge. Personally, one of my biggest struggles is paperwork in any form. And then there's something called the solo tax. Living alone comes with hidden costs. Because you don't have a second income to share rent, utilities, groceries, you need your own car, your own insurance, and you have to cover every expense yourself. Now, granted, it's not perfect on the other side. Couples often have one partner who overspends or makes poor money decisions, and that affects both of them. But potentially, they start with more combined resources. Solo adults have to stretch every dollar without that built-in backup. And those of us with ADHD also have those other issues mentioned above, a double whammy. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I grew up a really creative kid, music primarily. My head in the clouds, and as I know now, undiagnosed inattentive ADHD. I see it in so many things when I look back. My parents, especially my mom, really encouraged my musician dreams, but she was raised in the Great Depression, and so she had a very different mindset on money. We're going to talk about that more later. So by training, she was a bookkeeper. And I know, because I remember her talking about this, she spent years hunting for a missing 10-cent error in her checkbook. Years looking for 10 cents. My dad, meanwhile, was a successful small business owner. As for me, somehow I'm not sure I got the lessons from either one of them. I took starving artist seriously. I believed making money as a creative was not really something I should strive for and was not possible to achieve. Over time, I have finally learned strategies for budgeting as a single adult with ADHD. And while I'm definitely still a work in progress, I do own my own home. Well, the part that the bank doesn't own. I have a car that's actually fairly nice, and I have found all sorts of creative ways to make sure my bills get paid every month. When I first decided to start this podcast, I reached out to several friends to talk to them about their own personal ADHD stories. Most of them are women who, like me, were late diagnosed. And I asked specifically about their money habits, and boy, was that the first thing to come up. So I've got a few quotes here, and I won't name their names. But one person said, "If I like it, I buy it. So I avoid shopping." Another one said, "Never take financial advice from me, ever." And a third said, "Impulse buying is my biggest dopamine hit right now." So if you're thinking, yep, that's me again, we are part of a big community here. Here's the hard truth. People with ADHD tend to earn about 17% less than their neurotypical peers. We are more likely to rack up late fees and have poor credit. We're also more likely to have those unused subscriptions that we keep forgetting to cancel. And we have higher credit card debt and lower savings. ADHD brains love novelty, and not things like paying bills or fixing medical charges, something I had to do recently. But procrastination turns those small problems into late fees, and then that leads to more financial stress. Managing money solo with ADHD often means forcing yourself to tackle those boring but critical things. We'll talk more about how to do that as the month progresses. The good news is that living alone also means full control over your financial decisions. Honestly, I've heard stories from some of my married friends how, their spouses started gambling, and the next thing you know, they'd gambled away their income and were working on their spouses. We don't need anyone's permission to change our budgets, to try a new system, or cancel a subscription we don't like. Friends, family, ADHD coaches, or therapists can be accountability partners to help keep you on track. So this is just the first in a series. I just want to give a little overview today. Over the next month, we're going to be covering spotting your money habits, ADHD-friendly budgeting, strategies to reduce debt and avoid overspending, managing credit wisely, side hustles, frugal living hacks, and gamifying your finances so it's less boring. Your homework for the next few days, I promise it's easy. I just want you to observe. Start observing your financial habits. Now here's the trick. You need to observe them without judgment. Ask yourself a few simple questions. Where does my money come from? That one should be fairly easy for most of you. Where does it go? That one's trickier. And a big one. What triggers my out-of-pocket spending? Now, this episode, number 5 for me, is the first of 4 in that blast I mentioned earlier about money and finances. Tomorrow, in episode 6, we're going to delve into how to track your money ADHD style so you can actually see where it's going. I promise you that one is probably going to be the hardest episode of all. So if you need to set it aside or keep track of it and come back to it, that's okay. One thing I also want to mention is that I'm going to be doing a Facebook and YouTube Live on Tuesday, September 9th. This is 2025 at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain, my time, for a deeper dive into all things financial and a chance for you to ask questions. So I hope you'll tune in. Finally, please do rate and review this podcast or subscribe and comment if you are watching me on YouTube. Both of these things help me get found by other people like you. And feel free to share. A reminder to check out my website, and if you need one-on-one help getting your finances in order, that's okay. I offer free 30-minute personal coaching sessions to get to know each other and see if we're a good fit for working together in the future. Thanks for coming. I'm Christine Dunning with Two Cats Coaching, and this was A Solo Person's Guide to ADHD. Music by me,